This is a clip from the Slightly Smarter podcast.
My sort of story started when I was about 13 years old, and I developed an eating disorder known as bulimia. On top of that, I had some family members and some friends go through mental health issues at the same time, and I was always sort of the person that people would talk to, and I really enjoyed being able to help other people and yeah, help them, support them, and help them get better. And then when I sort of started learning more about my conditions, I also found that really satisfying. I think it really helped me to understand the things that were influencing my eating disorder and my anxiety. And
I mean, where do you start on assessing your own mental health?
Yeah, it's difficult. I guess it's the difference between knowing where I guess your optimal functioning is, like what is you on a good day, and how far are you from that right now? And But I guess for a lot of people, it takes something for them to recognize that they're not okay. Um, what my experience was as well. But I'm sort of really hoping that in all this sort of campaigning and advocacy for mental health that's going on right now, that people will start to recognize the signs of mental health issues early on, because it's much easier for people to get better when things are just starting out, rather than when they've developed for a really long time and they just get worse and worse. And then something really big and scary happens, and that's when they need to get better. And we kind of want to reduce those kind of crises for people.
Yeah, because if they're not accepting the fact that they may have one, or they don't know that they have a mental health issue, that when something drastically bad does happen, how do you even react? Right? The more education's out there, the more we can get to it quicker, especially since we're in a generation which has access to all of this information on our phones. Do you think that there is a tie between our, well, some would word it and term it as an addiction to technology, an addiction to our devices? Do you think that that is to some degree a causation of certain mental health issues?
Yeah, it's hard to say, actually, because all these online resources that people have really quick access to are actually really helpful. But I guess the biggest issue is that even though we feel more socially connected, right? We can have 900 friends on Facebook and however many followers on Instagram, but that actually is reducing our sort of the number of quality social interactions that we're getting. And people, there are studies showing that people who spend more time on social media do feel more socially lonely, and that loneliness and isolation can lead to things like depression. But at the same time, using those online forums to actually talk to people and have real conversations can also be really helpful. So I guess it depends on how you use those resources. But
yeah, absolutely. And I was reading this article. So basically, they were saying that in 2015, there were fewer 12th graders going out than there were 8th graders in 2009. So basically, we're more antisocial, and yet we're a generation of FOMO. Like, everyone knows that you're basically living your life against the fear of missing out, right? It starts with us basically to say that I know that my Instagram is a highlights reel, right? I'm only posting what I want people to see. And yet I still get jealous, or I feel like I'm missing out when I see other people doing the same thing, but I know what they're doing because I'm doing it.
I think a big difference that I see now is the stigma that's attached to mental health issues. There's been a lot of work trying to reduce the stigma, and I can see it in schools when I share my story at high schools and stuff, that they are really willing to be open about their mental health, and they really support each other, which is excellent. And I really feel like I didn't have that in my high school experience. And I think if there's sort of a more supportive and open environment to talk about mental health, then maybe I wouldn't have let things get as bad as they did, or maybe I would have felt more supported to let people know that I wasn't okay.
Yeah, and congratulations to you for that, because it is also, funnily enough, the way that I did actually contact you, because
Yes.
it was out of appreciation for the fact that you're doing amazing stuff for talking about it. And do you think that, obviously you're talking about it now, you've grown that confidence to be able to talk about it too. Do you think it's important for everyone who's been through this, or a lot of people who've been through this, is it important for them to talk about it too? Or can you get through all of this by, being within the shell that you wish to be in?
It's important for people to talk about or share their stories if they're comfortable.
Mhm.
It really just depends, because some people will sort of go through these experiences and recover, and will just kind of let that be their experience, and they can share it with their close circle, or whoever they're comfortable with. But yeah, it takes a lot to be public about it, and you sort of open yourself up to a lot of scrutiny and a lot of anxiety, and so it really just depends on how comfortable you are sharing it. And I get a lot of satisfaction from sharing my story, but that's not everyone's experience. So but in general, I think it's important for people to be open about it, just to the extent that they're comfortable, I guess.
Absolutely. Do you fear, though, what people might say? Because I
Absolutely.
know that
Yeah.
I run my life based on what I think people are going to say about me. You know what I mean? Like, you always, the one thing that one question in the back of your mind is always, what will these people say about me, about what I'm doing? Do you fear that when you're posting this kind of content?
Absolutely. And I always get this big sort of wave of anxiety as I'm hitting post.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But I rarely get negative comments from people, and I get so many positive responses, which really, it reinforces that. And I also, like, I have lost friends in the past, just because of my mental health, and people get scared and they don't want to deal with it. And I guess I've just sort of developed this mentality that the people that matter will stick by me. So I just sort of hope that that's true. And I know that, yeah, I'll be supported by people, and the sort of people who um, scrutinize or stigmatize me just don't matter.
Absolutely.